The twin suns of Xeranthia Prime shone brightly over the silver towers of the capital. The city below looked like a sea of crystal and light, built by one of the oldest empires in the galaxy. Floating palaces glided across the sky, carrying nobles, warriors, and ambassadors from dozens of alien races. Today was not an ordinary day. It was the Grand Galactic Summit, where leaders from every corner of known space came to meet the Zyran Queen, ruler of the most powerful empire in the stars. Inside the Grand Hall, thousands of alien delegates filled the wide marble floor. There were scaled reptilian nobles wearing gold armor, insectoid envoys with shining shells, and tall avian scholars with feathers like fire. Music of strange instruments echoed across the chamber, and the air shimmered with a faint scent of ozone and spices. But the room fell silent when the herald announced something none of them had ever heard before. Now entering, the delegation from Earth. Whispers spread like ripples in water. Humans here? Some aliens had only heard rumors about the new species. They were said to come from a death world, a place too violent and unstable for most life. Yet somehow they had not only survived but thrived. Many did not believe it was possible. 5 humans walked through the tall golden doors. Their clothing was simple, dark gray uniforms with a silver Earth emblem on the chest. They carried no weapons, no guards, yet every step they took was steady, controlled, almost defiant. Their eyes, bright and alert, moved across the crowd with quiet curiosity. At the center of the hall, on a raised throne made of glowing crystal, sat Queen Valeth of Xeranthia. She was tall and regal, her violet skin shining under the light. A crown of living energy rested above her head, moving like liquid fire. Her long silver hair fell across her shoulders, and her eyes, cold, sharp, and commanding, watched the humans approach. Among the delegation, one figure drew her attention more than the rest. He was the youngest of them, perhaps no more than 20 years old. His name was Lieutenant Aaron Hale, the youngest officer in the Human Exploration Corps. Though surrounded by beings older and far more powerful than himself, Aaron walked with calm confidence. There was no fear in his face, only curiosity and quiet strength. When Aaron looked up at the throne, his eyes met the Queen's. For a brief second, neither moved. The hall seemed to fade around them. To everyone else, it was only a glance, but to the Queen, it felt like a spark she could not explain. She leaned slightly forward, speaking softly to her first advisor. "Which one is that?" she asked. "The youngest, Majesty. His name is Aaron Hale, a lieutenant according to their ranks." The Queen's lips curved slightly. "A soldier, then?" The advisor bowed. "Yes, my Queen. But they say all humans are soldiers in one way or another." The Queen's gaze lingered on Aaron as the human delegation reached the center of the hall. She could feel something, an odd energy around him. Not arrogance, not fear, but resilience, like a flame that refused to die, even under pressure. She had seen many species before, warriors and conquerors alike, but none gave her that strange feeling of unpredictability. The leader of the human delegation, Commander Elisa Ward, stepped forward and bowed slightly. "On behalf of the people of Earth," she said, "we thank you for the honor of your invitation, Queen Valeth." The Queen nodded, her expression unreadable. "Earth," she said slowly, as if testing the sound. "A small world with a fierce reputation. Tell me, Commander Ward, do all your people have the courage to stand before a queen unarmed?" Elisa smiled politely. "We find that respect is stronger when it does not hide behind shields." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some aliens hissed disapproval. Others tilted their heads in curiosity, but the Queen's eyes flicked once more to Aaron. His expression hadn't changed, calm, watchful, ready. The faintest smile touched her lips. The summit began. One by one, the representatives of different empires gave their speeches. They spoke of trade, alliances, and exploration. The humans listened carefully but spoke little. They seemed more focused on learning than showing off. It annoyed some of the older races, who thought humans should know their place at the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. Hours passed. The hall grew restless. When it was finally the humans' turn to speak, the Queen leaned forward on her throne, curious to hear what they would say. Commander Ward spoke with a clear voice. "We come not to demand but to learn," she said. "We are new to the stars, but we bring with us our history, our mistakes, our triumphs, and our hope. Humanity seeks peace, but make no mistake, Peace is strongest when it stands ready to defend itself. The words echoed in the great hall. Some nodded in approval while others scoffed. But the Queen's sharp eyes never left Aaron. As the humans finished their speech, she saw him whisper something to his commander, offering quiet advice. She found herself wondering what he had said. When the summit ended for the day, the Queen stood. Her tall form drew instant silence. "Tonight," she declared, "the Palace of Zyranthia shall host a banquet in honor of our guests. Let the humans join us so we may learn what kind of strength lives in those from the so-called DEATHWORLD." Her voice carried both challenge and interest. The humans bowed politely. Aaron felt her gaze again and wondered why the ruler of an empire was looking at him that way. Later that night, as the palace glowed with thousands of lights, the Queen met privately with her advisors. They warned her to be cautious. "These humans are dangerous," said General Sarn. "Their world forges them through violence and struggle. You should not let them so close." The Queen smiled faintly. "Dangerous, perhaps, but power recognizes power. I want to see for myself what they are truly made of." "Which one, Majesty?" the advisor asked nervously. Her eyes turned toward the grand balcony, where she could see the humans in the distance, talking among themselves under the starlight. Her gaze found the youngest one again. Aaron Hale, standing quietly by the railing, looking up at the alien stars as if they belonged to him. "That one," she said softly. "The youngest." Her advisor blinked. "Him, my Queen?" "Yes." The Queen's tone was final. Her expression was calm, but her eyes glowed faintly with interest and something close to amusement. "That human will be mine." The words hung in the air like a promise. Below, Aaron looked up at the twin moons of Zyranthia, unaware that the most powerful ruler in the galaxy had just set her eyes upon him. To him, this was only another mission, an opportunity to represent humanity with honor. He didn't know that his calm courage had already changed the course of the summit, and perhaps the future of two worlds. In the quiet that followed, the Queen stood by her window, still watching him from afar. She could feel something stirring in her, a challenge, a curiosity she had not felt in years. For the first time in a long time, Queen Valeth was interested in someone not for conquest, but for understanding. Her world had known many rivals, but never before had she seen one so young, so ordinary, and yet so unshakable. And deep down she felt something she would never admit aloud. The galaxy might not be ready for the humans, but she was ready for him. The royal palace of Zyranthia shone like a jewel in the sky. Its towers floated above the city, built from shimmering glass metal that caught the light of both suns. Inside, servants hurried through wide halls decorated with banners and glowing art. Every step echoed softly, reminding everyone of the Queen's power and presence. On this morning, Queen Valeth stood at the tall window of her throne room, gazing toward the landing platform where the human delegation would soon arrive. Her reflection stared back at her, calm, proud, but thoughtful. She had spent the night thinking about one human in particular, Lieutenant Aaron Hale. Her advisors believed she was simply curious, but the truth was deeper. The young man's eyes had unsettled her. They held no fear of her, no submission, and yet they were not foolishly defiant either. They were steady, like someone who had faced storms before and had learned to stand still in the middle of them. She wanted to understand how someone so young could have such quiet strength. And so she planned a test. The humans were invited to the royal palace for what was called a formal diplomatic meal. Commander Elisa Ward led her team through the silver gates, walking carefully on the shining floors. Around them, alien nobles whispered and pointed. They were curious about these newcomers from the DEATHWORLD. Aaron walked behind his commander, observing everything. The walls were filled with energy patterns that looked alive. Strange plants floated in glass cases. Servants of various alien races bowed as the humans passed. Aaron noticed how some kept their eyes low, afraid to meet the gaze of their masters. When the humans entered the grand dining hall, they saw a table longer than a ship's deck, covered in foods from dozens of worlds, glowing fruits, steaming dishes, and drinks that sparkled like liquid starlight. At the far end sat Queen Valeth, dressed in royal silver robes, her crown floating above her head like a ring of energy. "Welcome, guests of Earth," she said in a smooth, commanding voice. "Let this be a meal of friendship and discovery." Her smile was polite but sharp like the edge of a blade. Aaron and the others took their seats. The Queen raised a crystal goblet. To unity among the stars. The guests echoed the toast, but Aaron quickly realized this was no ordinary meal. The Queen's servants began to bring plates of alien food, each one stranger than the last. The first dish was a glowing blue fruit that hissed when cut. The next was a thin slice of red meat that moved slightly as if still alive. The third was a thick green liquid that steamed with heat even in the cold air. The Queen watched them carefully. "These are delicacies of our empire," she said. "They test one's endurance and courage. I wonder, do humans have strong stomachs?" Aaron glanced at Commander Ward. She gave him a nod, a silent signal that they must be polite. He took a small piece of the glowing fruit and tasted it. The flavor was strange, burning and sweet at the same time. His body reacted instantly, but he hid his discomfort behind a calm expression. The Queen's eyes narrowed with interest. The second dish was worse. The meat pulsed faintly. Many would have refused it, but Aaron simply took a breath and cut a piece. It tasted like iron and smoke. He swallowed it without hesitation. The Queen tilted her head slightly. "You do not refuse, even when unsure what it is?" Aaron smiled faintly. "Where I come from, food is often scarce in hard times. We learn to respect whatever keeps us alive." Her guards and nobles whispered among themselves. Some laughed quietly, thinking him foolish. But the Queen did not. She studied him closely. The third dish arrived, the steaming green liquid. The servant explained, "It burns the throat but strengthens the heart, Majesty." Aaron lifted the cup and took a sip. The heat seared down his throat and his eyes watered slightly, but he did not cough. Instead, he set the cup down and said, "Reminds me of our old Earth coffee, strong enough to wake the dead." Even the Queen's lips twitched at that. It was the first genuine amusement she had shown all day. When the meal ended, she stood and approached the humans. "You endure well," she said softly, looking directly at Aaron. "Do you enjoy being tested?" Aaron met her gaze calmly. "We don't seek tests, Your Majesty," he said, "but we face them when they come." There was a moment of silence. Then the Queen spoke quietly, almost to herself. "Interesting." Later that day, she ordered that the humans be shown the Royal Garden of Trials, a vast open space where the Empire trained its champions. Strange beasts of metal and bone moved through the fields, and warriors practiced with energy blades that hummed like thunder. The Queen invited Aaron to walk beside her as they watched. "Your people are young among the stars," she said. "Yet you look at all this as if it does not impress you." Aaron smiled slightly. "It does impress me, but I also know that strength comes in many forms. Not all of them can be seen. You think your people strong enough to stand against empires like mine?" she asked. Aaron shook his head. "We don't stand against others unless they force us. But we always stand for each other." The Queen was silent for a while, watching the warriors in the arena. Then she said, "And if someone tested that loyalty? If someone took one of your kind away, to see how far that bond goes?" Aaron looked at her, unsure if it was a question or a threat. "Then they would learn that humans don't break easily," he said softly. The Queen smiled again, not cruelly, but with something like admiration. That night, after the humans returned to their quarters, the Queen met with her council. General Sarn, her most trusted commander, bowed and spoke carefully. "Majesty, I sense danger in these humans. They are not like other species. They hide their strength behind calm faces." The Queen nodded slowly. "Yes, that is why I must understand them. Especially the young one." The general frowned. "You speak of him often, Majesty. Shall I arrange further study?" "Not by force," the Queen said. "By invitation. He will come willingly." "He must. Why this interest in him?" the general asked boldly. The Queen turned her gaze on him, sharp as lightning. "Because," she said quietly, "he makes me question what true strength is, and I will have answers." The next morning, a formal message reached the human quarters. It was written in elegant script and sealed with the royal emblem. "To Lieutenant Aaron Hale of Earth, the Queen of Zyranthia requests your presence at her private chamber this evening for a personal discussion on cultural exchange. Attendance is considered an honor." Aaron read the message twice. Commander Ward looked uneasy. "This could be a trap," she warned. Aaron nodded. "Or it could be a chance to understand what kind of ruler she really is." He adjusted his uniform and smiled lightly. "Don't worry, Commander. I'll be careful." As the sun set behind the crystal towers, Aaron was led through the silent palace halls toward the Queen's private chamber. The doors opened with a soft hum, revealing a wide room filled with silver light and soft music. Queen Valeth stood by the window, the stars shining behind her like a crown. She turned when he entered, her expression unreadable. "Lieutenant Hale," she said, "I am told humans are brave. Let us find out if that is true." Aaron bowed slightly. "I'm here to answer any question you wish, Your Majesty." She smiled faintly. "Oh, I have many questions," she said. "And by the time I am done, I will know what kind of creature you are." She stepped closer, her eyes gleaming with curiosity and challenge. "You humans are full of secrets, but I intend to learn them all." And as the night deepened outside the palace, the Queen's test truly began. The next morning, the human delegation woke to an unexpected silence. Usually, the palace was filled with the sound of guards, distant music, and hovering drones. But that day, everything was still. Commander Elisa Ward noticed it first. The doors to their quarters were locked from the outside. "Something's wrong," she said calmly. No one answers the comms. Lieutenant Aaron Hale checked the communication panel, but the signal was blocked. He looked toward the window. Outside, the city of Zaranthia still shone under its twin suns, but no airships moved near the palace. The stillness felt unnatural. A few minutes later, a tall Zyran guard appeared at the door. He bowed slightly. "Lieutenant Hale, Her Majesty requests your presence alone." Commander Ward stepped forward. "He doesn't go anywhere without my approval." The guard's glowing eyes did not move. "It is the Queen's direct command." Aaron met his commander's gaze. "It's all right," he said softly. "I'll see what she wants." Ward hesitated. "Be careful, Aaron. They might be testing us again." Aaron gave a small smile. "Then I'll just have to pass." The guard led him through the quiet corridors of the palace. The halls that once shimmered with color now glowed dimly, and the guards standing along the way bowed their heads as Aaron passed. He could feel their eyes on him, some curious, others cautious. When the door to the Royal Observatory opened, Aaron saw Queen Valeth standing beside a wide window that showed the stars. She wore no crown this time, only a simple silver robe. "Lieutenant Hale," she said, turning slowly. "I trust you slept well." Aaron gave a polite nod. "Yes, Your Majesty." "Though I didn't expect to wake up locked inside." The Queen smiled faintly. "You are not a prisoner, young human. You are my guest. But my palace must remain secure. I cannot allow you to wander freely while I study you." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "Study me?" "Your kind," she corrected. "You fascinate me. The galaxy has heard stories about Earth. Storms that tear your cities apart. Beasts that hunt your people. Yet somehow you thrive." "I wish to know why." Aaron stood still. "If you wanted to learn, you could have asked." "We humans usually answer questions without locking doors." The Queen's expression softened. "Perhaps. But I learned long ago that words can hide truths. Actions, however, cannot." She led him through the observatory. The walls showed moving images of stars, nebulae, and alien worlds. "Do you see this?" she asked. "Every empire here has conquered or been conquered. But yours is different. You arrive not as slaves or masters, but as explorers." "Why?" Aaron thought for a moment. "Because Earth taught us the value of both. We know what it means to lose and what it means to survive. We explore because we're searching for peace, for knowledge, maybe even for redemption." The Queen looked at him curiously. "Redemption?" Aaron nodded. "We've made mistakes, wars, greed, and pride. But we keep trying to do better. That's what makes us human." She was silent for a long moment. The look in her eyes was no longer cold, but thoughtful. Later, the Queen brought him to the Hall of Mirrors, a place where her ancestors recorded the Empire's history. The mirrored walls displayed images of wars, victories, and endless conquests. "Do you see this?" she said, gesturing at the glowing scenes. "This is what built Zaranthia. Power, control, fear. For thousands of years we ruled through it." Aaron looked at the shifting images. "It must be exhausting." The Queen turned her head slightly. "Exhausting?" "Yes," Aaron said quietly. "To keep ruling by fear. To never trust anyone. To think every victory must be forced." She frowned, though not in anger, more in confusion. "You speak as if there is another way." "There is," Aaron said simply. "Lead by respect, not fear. People will fight harder for someone they believe in than someone they fear." The Queen looked away. "You sound like my late sister," she said quietly. "She believed peace could last longer than power. She was wrong. Peace dies when strength is forgotten. Maybe, Aaron replied. But strength without compassion also dies, just slower. Her eyes met his again, and for a moment the proud queen of Zaranthia didn't look like an untouchable ruler. She looked like someone who had carried a heavy weight for too long. Days passed. The humans were kept within the palace, but Aaron was allowed to move more freely. Guards followed him everywhere, but he was treated with respect. The queen met him daily, often under the excuse of cultural discussions, though everyone could see it was more than that. She asked him endless questions about Earth's history, its wars, its music, its art, even its oceans and skies. He answered each with patience, describing both the beauty and the chaos of humanity. Sometimes he asked questions too. "Do your people ever get tired of war?" he asked once. The queen's reply was calm. "They were born into it. It is all they know. Then maybe they need someone to show them something new," he said softly. Her gaze lingered on him. "And you think that someone could be me?" "Maybe," he said with a small smile. "Or maybe it already is." The queen looked away quickly, pretending not to hear. One evening, Aaron visited the palace gardens. The alien flowers glowed softly in the night air, and small floating creatures hummed like bees. As he walked, one of the queen's handmaidens approached him quietly. "You have changed her, human," the handmaiden said. "Her eyes are softer now. She laughs sometimes." "We have not seen that in years," Aaron blinked in surprise. "I didn't do anything," the handmaiden smiled faintly. "Perhaps that is why it works." Before he could reply, a sudden tremor shook the ground. Distant alarms echoed through the palace. The skies above turned red as defense barriers activated. Aaron looked up. "What's happening?" The handmaiden's face turned pale. "It is the High Council. Some nobles say the queen has lost her judgment, that she is favoring an outsider." Aaron's stomach tightened. "You mean me?" "Yes," she whispered. "They plan to remove her tonight." Aaron didn't hesitate. He ran back through the glowing corridors toward the throne chamber. Guards rushed past him shouting orders. Energy blasts echoed from far halls. When he reached the grand doors, he found the queen standing before her throne, surrounded by loyal guards. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with anger. "You should not be here," she said when she saw him. "I'm not leaving," Aaron replied firmly. "If they're coming for you, I'm staying." The queen stepped closer, her voice low. "You would fight for me? You, a human among enemies?" Aaron nodded. "You gave me your trust. I won't let that be broken." For a moment, neither spoke. Then slowly, she smiled. A real smile, warm and proud. "Very well," she said. "Then we stand together." The chamber doors burst open. A group of armored nobles stormed in, led by General Sarn, the queen's former commander. His voice echoed through the hall. "Your Majesty, you have lost your way. You bring dishonor by favoring this human. The Empire cannot bow to weakness." The queen's voice was sharp. "Weakness? Look around you, General. Do you see a ruler who hides behind walls, or one who stands ready to fight beside those she trusts?" The general hesitated, his soldiers unsure. The queen raised her hand, summoning her energy blade, a glowing spear of blue light. Aaron stepped beside her, holding a staff taken from a fallen guard. The queen looked at him once more. "If we survive this, Lieutenant," she said quietly, "the galaxy will know that humans are not prey. They are something far greater." Aaron smiled. "Then let's make sure they never forget it." The chamber filled with light and sound as the rebellion began. The queen and the human fought side by side, two worlds united in defiance. For the first time in centuries, the people of Zaranthia saw something new in their queen. Not fear, not pride, but hope. And as the battle raged, one thought stayed in her mind, clear and powerful. That human will be mine, not by force, but by choice. The halls of the Carthan royal palace were silent, except for the soft hum of guards standing at their posts. Queen Sarath walked slowly through the grand corridor, her long robes gliding over the silver floor. The walls shimmered with soft blue light, casting her shadow across the carvings of ancient victories. But her mind was not on history or war. It was on one single human, the youngest among them, named Elias Ward. Days had passed since their meeting, yet his calm eyes and strange bravery still lingered in her thoughts. He was different from other humans she had seen before. When he stood before her, he did not tremble or look down. He met her gaze with respect, but not fear. That small act had unsettled the queen more than she wanted to admit. Her advisor, General Kraith, entered the hall behind her. His heavy armor made dull metallic sounds as he spoke. Your Majesty, the Council grows impatient. They wish to know your final decision about the human delegation. Shall we proceed with the treaty or the usual examination? Sarath stopped walking. The word examination made her frown. She turned to him slowly. No, she said. There will be no experiments. They came in peace and we will treat them as guests. The general looked surprised. Guests? Forgive me, my queen, but these humans are unpredictable. Their species has only recently appeared in our systems. You yourself said they were dangerous. Dangerous, she repeated softly. Yes, but also fascinating. She walked toward the grand window that showed the planet's horizon. Twin suns rose over the white cities, lighting up the sky in shades of gold. She placed her hand on the glass. Do you know why they frighten the Council, Kraith? Because humans are not afraid of death. They look at danger and smile. I saw it in that young one's eyes. Kraith bowed his head. Your instincts have kept this empire alive, Majesty. But if I may ask, what do you intend to do with him? Sarath turned and gave a small, unreadable smile. You misunderstand me, General. He is not my prisoner. He is my choice. Elias stood on the balcony of the guest quarters, looking down at the alien capital. He had been given free movement inside the royal section, though guards always watched him from afar. He didn't mind. After all, he was on an alien world surrounded by beings who could crush a man in seconds. Still, something about the Queen had made him uneasy and curious. He remembered her words during the last meeting. She had looked at him in front of her court and declared, "That human will be mine." At the time, he didn't understand what she meant. Was it a political claim? A challenge? Or something else? The door opened behind him. Captain Lena Torres, his commander and friend, stepped in. You've been out here for an hour, Elias, she said, crossing her arms. You're making the guards nervous. Elias smiled faintly. Maybe they think I'm planning an escape. Are you? She asked, half joking. He shook his head. No, I'm just thinking about the Queen. She's hard to read. Lena sighed and leaned on the railing beside him. Yeah, I noticed. She's dangerous, Elias. Don't let that calm tone fool you. This whole palace feels like it's testing us. Maybe, he said, but she hasn't treated us like enemies. That means something. Before Lena could reply, a messenger drone floated through the door. Its metallic voice spoke in clear words. Elias Ward, by order of Her Majesty Queen Sarath of Carthan, you are summoned to the Royal Hall. Lena frowned. You sure you want to go alone? Elias nodded. If I don't, it might insult her. Besides, I'll be fine. The Royal Hall was filled with light and quiet music. When Elias entered, the guards stepped aside, forming a path toward the throne. Queen Sarath sat upon it, her crown of dark silver reflecting the light from the ceiling. She watched him approach, her sharp eyes studying every step. When he stopped and bowed politely, she spoke. You are bold to walk without fear, human. I was invited, Your Majesty, he said calmly. That answer made her smile faintly. Yes, you were, and you came, knowing you stand before one who commands entire fleets. I stand before a ruler who kept her promise to treat us fairly, Elias replied. Her eyes gleamed with interest. You speak as if you know me already. Not yet, he said. But I'd like to understand. There was a brief silence. Then Sarath rose from her throne and descended the steps. Her movement was graceful, almost like flowing water. She stopped in front of him, close enough that he could see the patterns on her skin, faint marks that shimmered like stars. You wish to understand? She asked softly. Then tell me, Elias Ward, why do humans risk everything for others? You could have stayed safe on your world, yet you travel among species that fear you. Elias thought for a moment before answering. Because we believe in more than safety. We believe in learning, in helping, and sometimes in taking risks to prove we're worth trusting. His answer seemed to surprise her. She looked at him for a long time before turning away. Strange, she murmured. Your kind walks into the unknown not as conquerors, but as seekers. Perhaps that is why I chose you. Elias blinked. Chose me for what exactly? For something greater than a treaty, she said. You will see soon enough. Later that night in the council chamber, voices were raised. This is madness, Majesty. One elder shouted. You cannot favor a human over your own people. It will be seen as weakness. Sarath stood at the head of the room, calm as stone. It will be seen as strength. This human has the courage to face me as an equal. If others cannot, then perhaps we should learn from him. Another counselor hissed, "He is manipulating you." "No," she said firmly. "He is teaching me." The room fell silent. None dared to challenge her further. When the council dispersed, General Kraith approached quietly. "Your Majesty, you risk everything. The people may not understand." "I know," Sarath said, "but history is made by those who choose boldly." She looked up at the night sky through the tall windows. The stars shone bright above the empire she ruled. Somewhere out there, Earth waited, a world full of beings who could change everything. She whispered almost to herself, "That human will be mine. Not as property, but as ally. The galaxy will learn that even an empire must bend when faced with true courage." The morning light of the twin suns bathed the Carthan Palace in gold. The air was calm, but beneath the quiet halls, tension was building. The council was divided. The generals were whispering, and rumors spread across the empire. Queen Sarath's choice had shocked everyone. No one could understand why their proud monarch had favored a human, one so young and unknown. But to Sarath, her decision was clear. Elias Ward represented something the Carthan Empire had forgotten long ago: courage without fear, kindness without weakness. As the Queen prepared for the council meeting that would decide the fate of the alliance, her advisor, General Kraith, stood beside her. His metallic armor gleamed under the morning light. "My Queen," he said quietly, "there are many who will not accept your decision. Some have already begun rallying fleets in secret. They call it protection, but I sense rebellion." Sarath's golden eyes darkened. "Let them come. I will not rule through fear. If they wish to test my choice, they will face the truth of it." She turned to him with calm authority. "Send for the human delegation. Elias Ward will stand with me today." Elias stood before the mirror in his chamber, adjusting the collar of his uniform. He didn't know what would happen next. Queen Sarath had spoken mysteriously about his role in the future, but had given no details. When Captain Lena entered the room, she could tell from his expression that he was troubled. "You don't have to go if you think it's a trap," she said softly. Elias shook his head. "It's not a trap. She's putting her reputation on the line for this. If I stay silent, I'll prove her wrong." Lena sighed. "You're either brave or crazy." "Maybe both," he said with a grin. "But it's worth it." Soon after, a Carthan guard arrived. "The Queen summons you, human." Elias followed the guard through the great silver corridors toward the council chamber. Each step echoed against the shining floor. As he entered, the hall went silent. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to him. At the far end sat Queen Sarath upon her throne. She rose as he approached. "Welcome, Elias Ward," she said, her voice calm but strong. "Today, the fate of our two species will be decided." The Carthan Council Chamber was a vast circular hall with glowing symbols carved into the walls. The air buzzed with tension. Counselors sat in rows, murmuring in disbelief as the human walked to stand beside their queen. One elder rose, his voice sharp. "Your Majesty, this cannot continue. This creature is not one of us. To place him at your side is to insult our ancestors." Sarath's gaze turned cold. "You speak as if honor is measured by blood. It is not. It is measured by courage, and this human has more of it than most in this room." The elder slammed his staff. "You risk our empire for sentiment." Elias stepped forward before Sarath could answer. His voice was steady. "If your empire can be broken by one human, then maybe it isn't as strong as you believe." The room erupted in shocked whispers. No one had ever spoken to the council like that. The elder hissed, "You dare speak to us so boldly?" "Yes," Elias said, "because I've seen what fear does to powerful civilizations. It blinds them. Humans aren't your enemies. We want to learn to work with you. But if you treat every difference as a threat, you'll destroy yourselves long before we ever could." Queen Sarath smiled faintly, proud of his courage. Another counselor spoke, softer this time. "And what do humans offer that we do not already have?" Elias turned toward her. "Hope. The will to stand even when everything says we should fall. You can't measure that with armies or ships, but it's what keeps us alive." There was silence again. Even those who opposed Sarath found themselves thinking. Finally, the Queen spoke. "You see now why I chose him. His people may be young, but they carry fire in their hearts. We will not crush that fire. We will stand beside it." But not everyone agreed. Outside the palace, a fleet of rebel warships had gathered in orbit. They were loyal to a general named Vorn, who refused to accept the Queen's decision. "This alliance is weakness," Vorn shouted to his crew. "If the Queen will not protect our pride, we will." Within moments, the ships powered their weapons. The skies above the capital darkened as energy signatures flared. The rebellion had begun. Back inside the palace, alarms blared. Guards rushed into the council chamber. General Kraith's voice echoed through the hall. "Rebel fleet incoming. They are preparing to strike." The council erupted in chaos. Some shouted to flee, others called for defense. Queen Sarath raised her hand and silence fell. "Elias," she said, turning to the human. "You wish to prove your world's worth. Now is your moment." He nodded firmly. "Tell me what you need." Moments later, Elias stood on the command deck beside the Queen. The palace shield shimmered as the first energy blasts struck. Kraith barked orders. "All defense batteries online. Prepare interceptors." Elias studied the enemy ships on the holographic display. "If they're rebelling, they'll focus on the palace. You need to split their formation." Sarath looked at him. "How?" Elias pointed at the tactical screen. "Send decoy drones around the city. Make them look like escape ships. When the rebels move to intercept, hit their engines with your main batteries. Don't destroy them, disable them. Show mercy. It'll prove your strength." Sarath paused, then nodded. "Do as he says." The plan was executed perfectly. Dozens of bright drones launched into the sky, confusing the rebels. When they chased, Carthan defenses unleashed precise strikes, crippling half the rebel fleet without killing a single crew. The remaining rebels hesitated, seeing mercy instead of vengeance. Confusion spread among them. On the main screen, General Vorn appeared, his voice full of disbelief. You could have destroyed us." Sarath stood tall. "You are my people. I will not destroy you for fear. Surrender and see what courage truly means." Vorn's image flickered. After a long pause, he lowered his head. "We surrender." Cheers erupted across the command deck. Elias exhaled slowly. "It's over." Sarath looked at him with quiet admiration. "No, it has just begun." Later that evening, the palace was calm again. The sky glowed with the light of distant stars. Queen Sarath stood on the balcony and Elias joined her. "You saved us," she said softly. "You saved me." Elias shook his head. "You saved yourself. I only reminded you what you already knew." She turned toward him with a small smile. "Perhaps. But I meant what I said, Elias Ward. You are my choice, not as a possession, but as a partner between worlds. Together, we will show the galaxy a new way forward." Elias looked at the horizon where alien ships floated peacefully. "Then let's make sure we don't waste it." Sarath raised her hand toward the stars. "The Carthan Empire and humanity will stand as one. Let this day mark the beginning of our alliance." Across the skies, the words spread like fire. The Human Carthan Pact was born, a symbol of hope in a galaxy ruled by fear. And as the twin suns set, two figures, one human, one alien queen, stood side by side, knowing that their meeting had changed not just their fates, but the destiny of countless worlds. The end.